Lounsenberry. I'm here with Ted Mock, and he asked me to give you 3 or 4 minutes about my life as a preacher's kid. My dad, Dr. Bobby Lounsenberry, pastored in East Peoria, Illinois. I can remember all the way back in, even 6th, 7th grade, about the time I was 12 or 13. We built a new house. My dad was working at a steel mill, and we built a new house, and there was a church down the street about a block, and we were invited to come. And I remember my parents started going, and my dad still had some issues, with the world, and doing without, and he has a little stuff in his cheeks sometimes just to make it through the service. But then he got saved. And I always refer to it all these years as the day that Jesus came to our house. And when he did, everything changed. From top to bottom, east to west, everything changed. And I had a brand new daddy, the songwriter said. And we don't live there anymore. And everything changed, and we were just shortly after that, not a lot of months, which isn't uncommon. If you're familiar with people's testimony, my dad surrendered to preach. He was only 2 years from having 10 years in at the steel mill, which would have qualified him for a short pension. They talked about that and abandoned that idea. He felt like God called him to do something, and he wanted to get it done, and we left. And I'll say this lest I forget at the end. We never went hungry. It never had a bearing. He's 86 years old, still taking a few meetings, and God's still providing for his everyday needs. The Lord promised us to feed and clothe us, and that his people wouldn't go begging bread. And I just had a tremendous childhood. He was gone a lot, especially when he started taking meetings, but he wouldn't take meetings that included Wednesday or Sunday. So he could be gone Wednesday or Tuesday and back Wednesday or Thursday and Friday and back Sunday. And so those years that we were in Bible college were trying times. Back then there was no food stamps or anything. It was just what they gave you and the Spam in the can, with all the thick meat on it. But they were just tremendous times. I'll never forget them. And my daddy worked hard where he could and when he could. We didn't have money for car insurance. He'd walk back and forth to college. The goal from the very beginning was to go straight through. So he went through in 2.5 years, then went back later and got his degree and walked. The third year he's there, he was a main speaker at a small church, an interim between pastors, and he said he'd do it his senior year, and he did that in Doolittle, Missouri. He did a lot of driving and back. But I'll tell you one thing through it all. There was more ups than downs. I am one, so I can comment on preachers' kids. If the devil can't get mom and dad, he wants the next generation. And there's a great onset in this land of boys and girls raised in Christian homes that don't make it. And I think that's a tragedy. And I don't think God wanted it to be that way. And a lot of people can take the blame, and we can share the blame. But it boils down to you got a free nature. And we could have done maybe some things different. But in the end, that child has to decide if I'm going to follow, not in my dad's footsteps, but am I going to follow his God and make that God, his God, my God. And everything changed in my life when that happened. I was a little older, clear up into my 20s, and we left Averyville where he was. I got a new pastor, and just everything changed. I didn't have to separate any longer the man of God from my dad, which some can do readily and some struggle with their whole life. And I really began to grow and prosper, had children. God chose to call one of them to the mission field. They've spent 7 years in Tibet, and now they're in Canada, which has the second largest world population. But I'm telling you, I was never ashamed to be a Christian, and I was never ashamed to be a preacher's kid. And I remember my mom always saying, when you left the house, remember you're a Lounsenberry, and you're a child of God. And that sustained me through an awful lot as an extreme introvert, which really puts you in danger. So I hope I've been encouraging to you. It's a great life. But the main thing I learned out of it through that and being involved, being an older child in Bible college, and he didn't graduate till I was in the 7th grade. I'll pass this on to you. If you'll get up in the morning and do as you're commanded, you'll find out that God can, God does, and God will. I hope that's a blessing to you. Lord bless you wherever you are and whoever sees this. Thank you.